Well, what really happened to Malaysian Airlines flight MH370?
Found that, yes, these actually date back to 2014. I mean, I remember seeing them in 2014 as well, but we've got the Wayback Machine. We know that the original account uploader was somebody called Regicidanon, which technically stands for King Killer, anonymous King Killer, begin to circle around the plane. In the satellite video, we see these orbs coming in at roughly 2,000 miles per hour, Mach 2, Mach 3 speeds we've estimated based on comparing pixels in them. And in both videos, these orbs are defying gravity as we know it. They're floating freely, they're not falling to the ground. But in the drone video, we see some very unusual details. We can see in the drone video that there's a black line. It looks like it's behind the orbs, but it's actually in front of the orbs, pulling them forward, like they're running on train tracks. So there seems to be two different anti-gravitational effects at play here. The orbs themselves are displaced from gravity. We can see what's called a non-radiating barrier, which means it's like a field around the orb. It actually looks like these are more of like ball lightning as opposed to something like a traditional flying saucer that we might expect in UFOlogy, which would indicate
so this
that
video, can you be precise and walk us through what we're seeing in this video, where it came from, and how we have this?
So in our drone video, we have an MQ-1C Gray Eagle. You can see the body of the drone, and we can tell this is either an MQ-1C Gray Eagle or an MQ-9 Reaper. MQ-1C Gray Eagle has images that you can find in Google image search that shows aerial surveillance cameras underneath the wings. What happens if one person looks at those videos and goes, wow, no one's going to ever know the truth unless I leak these videos? And that's exactly what I think happened. When we are looking at that satellite video, we can tell that they are doing a screen recording. It's not somebody who's got a camera who's filming the screen like I would be doing here. That's one of the earliest details that I noticed. And so when the sleuths on social media found out that this was a Citrix session logged into a database because of the mouse is at 24 frames per second that we see in the satellite video, and it comes off the top right of the screen and goes off to the bottom left of the screen, indicating they're looking at a much larger field of view, but they're cropped it down. We're moving the drone so that we wouldn't see that. We're moving other information from it. That's when I went, holy crap. This was a U.S. military personnel who was recording this on a screen recording. They knew they were going to get caught. They have logs for Citrix sessions logging into databases like this. And they leaked this to the world, potentially because they knew the United States would never find it. And I was sitting there one day in October, and I was going, wait a minute. I've got like a psychological profile for the person who would have leaked this. It would have to be a U.S. military personnel. They would be a patriot, most likely, that wants to tell the world. They remove the HUD data and all this other sensitive information. They leak the first video, thinking that maybe the world will pick up on that first video, and they don't even need to leak the second one. And then when we ignore that, they drop the second videos in perfect synchronization. Now you've got absolute proof. We've got coordinates. We've got two different videos. So I started Googling, looking up people. It took me about 2 weeks because it's really hard to find some of this information that goes back especially 7 or 8 years or more. And then I run across Lieutenant Commander Edward C. Lin. I am 99.999% sure this is the guy. Right away. Every single thing. I've got my spider senses just going off. Signals intelligence all over every single news article about him. The strange case of Lieutenant Commander Edward C. Lin. Completely redacted information. Charged with espionage, but there's no evidence he exchanged any information with anyone from China. And that was unusual to me because if you think about the person that would have leaked this, the United States government would have assumed that they're trying to help China out, especially if it's an espionage event. But then if they find out that there's no evidence of that because it was just somebody who was trying to tell the world the truth, now it gets really awkward. He was actually a Taiwanese national who had been naturalized into the United States. A guy that we trusted with our military or nuclear weapons. So this was a guy that by all accounts was a patriot. But the circumstantial evidence is extremely damning. He was assigned to the VPU-2 Wizards, a secret spy plane program, in February of 2014, right before the plane disappeared. His lawyer is on the record saying that the investigation into him began April 2nd, 2014, the next month after the plane disappeared. And that's when I went, oh boy, like this is a very narrow window of time. But there's more. It was actually the defense lawyer argued that the classified information in question is available on the internet. Which, if it's not these videos, why were they trying to get him in life in prison for espionage?